Welcome to the world's first straight talk Solarcast. This is your go-to podcast for answers about solar. Brought to you by Solar Harmonics in Northern California, who invite their customers to own their energy by purchasing a solar panel system for their home, business, or farm. Each episode, we discuss questions facing people making the decision to go solar. The solutions to your questions are given to you straight by one of the leading experts in the solar industry, Jamie Duran, president of Solar Harmonics. Feel free to search our library for answers to questions that you're facing when considering solar. And now, here's Adam Duran, our host with the questions, and Jamie Duran, our solar expert with Straight Talk Solarcast.
Hello, Jamie.
Hello, Adam.
How's everything in the land of solar this week?
Let's all take a collective sigh because there wasn't any gigantic, oh my God, now what kind of news this week. So everyone in the solar industry is kind of, really walking on eggshells. They don't want, they don't want it to some hammer to drop tomorrow. But as far as we know, the two big stories of last week of Mosaic Solar and then Sonova filing for bankruptcy. I mean, two gigantic companies in the solar industry. They're huge, and the all of the the ripple effects of them going out of business is going to be felt for a long, long time. But we didn't have a new one this week, so that's good to hear and good to know. And so one of the things that the electricity. So in California, I guess there was a bit of a story that this was one in California where originally the utility companies were saying this, all these people who went solar and are on this net energy metering 1.0 and 2.0, where they get retail credit on their electricity bills for excess solar power. We're not fans of that. And they wanted to move everyone, whether they went solar yesterday or solar 5 years ago, everyone gets moved into the net energy metering 3.0, where they reduce that credit by 75%. So this was one where Californians who have solar went nuts and contacted everybody, even city council people were asking me about what the heck is going on. And so the bill got reduced. And so now if you sell your home in California, the new buyer, there's no transfer, the NEM 1.0, 2.0. They're immediately moved to NEM 3.0, which is going to have a whole new ripple effect because anyone moving in, so it's their home is not set up for, most of those NEM 1.0, 2.0, they don't have any battery storage. And so it's now going to make it so batteries will make a little bit more sense. But for the new home buyer who's never had solar before, they're just going to be stuck with a gigantic electricity bill. And so we get to get very excited about that because I'm sure there'll be, lawsuits back and forth with, no one told me and the broker should have let me know and my agent should have let me know. So if you know any agents or brokers out there, feel free to share this podcast with them because they're definitely, and they can't just call me. It seems to be what happens. I know, but if share this podcast because it's good for them to get educated. And we have tons of episodes on NEM 1.0, 2.0, and tons more on NEM 3.0. So what I want to talk about today is that one of the arguments that the utility company said is that California, we're just producing too much solar power and we're throwing away, most of the solar power that we're making. And that's why we need to reduce the credit amount because we're not able to sell it. We're not able to do anything with it. It just goes away. It just, dissipates. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to research that claim because that didn't really make a lot of sense. And what is happening is, obviously from December 21st, which is the winter solstice, technically the shortest day of the year, where we have the fewest sun hours. On December 22nd, the sun hours start increasing incrementally all the way to June 21st, which is the summer solstice. We're almost at the summer solstice, so this is perfect solar time. but we're producing the most amount of power on or around June 21st. And so when we're producing that much, that generally means we're using that much, because in the summer months, like in June and lots of May, and then definitely July, August, September, we're using a lot of power, and it's mainly for air conditioning and pools and pool pumps and those kind of things. And so the solar is still not able to keep up with the electricity usage. But in the spring months, there are a few days when solar is producing more than California is using. And that is something like, wow, that's amazing. And that's why they're saying, oh, well, we need battery storage so people can manage that better. And so that is interesting, but it's certainly not the way the utility companies present it, is that, we're producing so much solar that we can't even use it all. And it's really a question of, can they maneuver it to other places rather than just letting it dissipate? Could they reroute it, for example, to a school? Or to, could somebody potentially donate their excess power to a school, get zero for it, but then it would help reduce the school's electricity bill? Or a library, I could see that coming in the near future. I don't know how near, but as people are adding more and more solar, we'll see what happens in the next 3 weeks, because the new federal budget is supposed to be approved on July 4th. And then we'll have 60 days to get new projects going. But I imagine there's going to be quite a few people going solar even after all of this, just because electricity rates still will be pretty crazy. But what do you think so far?
It sounds really cool.
I think so. But I mean, it is. I just think it's fascinating that the utility companies, that was the main reason why they wanted this legislation, is that the people have gone solar so hard, and we've made so many solar farms, but there's only a couple days, at least in this year, where solar exceeded the demand. And it wasn't they were throwing away gigawatts of solar, which is a lot of power. It was pretty reasonable. So it wasn't ridiculous. And so I could certainly see not wanting to throw any of it away. And so it would be nice if they could supply it to other places that don't have solar. And then PG&E gets to charge their regular rates, which they're really good at. So I think it would be...
I'm always under the impression that, we don't have a whole lot of excess electricity, that we are in constant need of more electrons.
Well, and that's one of the biggest reasons for solar, is that, we've been doing this podcast a while, and it's been kind of crazy that solar, when we first started, the grid, everyone was panicked about blackouts and brownouts because there wasn't enough grid capacity. Well, apparently solar has solved that. But when that would happen with, there wasn't enough supply of electricity, PG&E put into, and this has been going on for years and years and years, it's called a demand charge. And commercial clients would see this demand charge on their bill and say, what in the world is this for? I have no idea. And the demand charge is like an insurance policy. And it says, if, over the last 18 months, your company used, say, at the most in July, you use 10,000 kilowatt hours in one day. So going forward in our capacity, we're going to reserve 10,000 kilowatt hours for your company just in case. And we're going to charge you for that reservation. And that's called a demand charge. And it's just a line item on the bill, and it's gigantic. And most companies, I had no idea what it was even for. I just paid it.
Yeah.
But now with solar, you would think, if we're exceeding the amount of power that the state is using, couldn't we get rid of demand charges? And not a great answer coming back, because you would think that would be a really good response to all of the politicians and actually a politician in my area voted for this. Actually, I think she was the author of this bill.
Sorry.
Oh, no, she wasn't an author. She definitely voted for it, though. And so I think I got to do some education with her, or at least share the podcast with her, because that would be, it is interesting because demand charges haven't gone away. There's still plenty of businesses paying demand charges. And even if they've never hit that 10,000 kilowatt hour limit ever again, they're still paying for it as if they had. So, for example,
Wow.
Exactly. It just
Wait.
never goes away unless you get solar. And then once you have solar, it'll take about 18 months for it to roll off because
What?
I know it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable, but it's just
you can't call up PG&E and say we don't want that anymore. If you go solar, for example, from next month, oh boy.
But it is one of the really big benefits of going solar. It just takes a while to get there, but it is interesting that the state and the CPUC agreed that solar was producing too much, and now we need to change the contract from NEM 1.0, 2.0 people and move everyone to NEM 3.0. And then all the solar customers freaked out and said, nope, can't do that. And now they're scaling it. So if you sell your home, I'm guessing down the road, there's probably going to be another page in the gigantic book of real estate rules, regulations, and transactions that says, I am aware that I am being moved to NEM 3.0.
Oh, yeah.
And no one's going to even know what that means, but what the implications, but they're going to have to initial it and then move on to the next page of water table or flooding zones and things like that. So, but yeah, I think that's very interesting and another development that I don't agree with, but we'll see how it goes in the next couple of weeks. And fingers crossed, no craziness for the next week. What do you think?
I just keep picturing Gary Coleman saying, "What you talking about, Willis?"
I know.
Every time you pause, I'm like, "What you talking about, Willis?" That's all I
know. It's very timely, Adam. That's everyone was around for 45 years ago.
Hey, come on, timeless is right.
Timely.
Timeless. What you talking about, Jamie?
Nothing from Rick and Morty that you want to bring up?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. That's all I got today.
Thank you very much. We're going to wrap it up there. If you have a question for Jamie for an upcoming episode, you know what to do. You can go to our Facebook page, Straight Talk Solarcast, send us a message through there, and we'll be sure to get to it on an upcoming episode. If you have a friend considering going solar, this would be an excellent podcast for them to listen to. So please refer it to them. Share, wherever you got this podcast, there's a little share button. Send it to them. If you would like to visit a library of our past episodes, you can go to solarharmonics.com, click on the podcast link at the top of the page, and you'll be taken to that library. If you would also, our last ask is that you give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast. It does help grow the podcast and reach more people. So we'd appreciate it. Until next time, everyone. See you.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Straight Talk Solarcast with solar expert Jamie Duran. Join us each week for more answers to your solar questions. Speaking of questions, got some? Email us at solarcast@solarharmonics.com and we'll be sure to give you an answer in an upcoming episode. This episode of Straight Talk Solarcast is brought to you by Solar Harmonics, the leading solar energy developer in Northern California, who invite you to own your energy. Visit them on the web at www.solarharmonics.com.